Omagyanatimandasyana chinanjala chlakaya chakshurmitam yena tasmai shgurave namah Chitchaitanyamanopistam stapitam yena bhutalisvam rupakadamayam dadati svapadantikam Vandeham shiyo shiyuda padakamanam shigum vaishnavamsa Shri Upam Jagajatam Sagan Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Banu Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gauri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Panamama Haripriya Pancha Kautabhisha Kripasnabhivasha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravanya Pacharini Nirvishesha Srinavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Recording in progress.
So we will be reading from the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 34, and we are in the second pastime which is presented in this chapter, the killing of the demon Sankachuda, that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Shiva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nastveshya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavata Tamaskri Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Evam Vikridato Svaram Gayato Sampramattavat Sankachuta Iti Kyato Danandanucharobhyagat. So we continue reading. So we have heard Krishna and Balaram together with two groups of gopis, Balaram's gopis, Krishna's gopis, and Sankachuda appears and he tries to drive away these gopis. And now that we will hear of what will happen. Can someone read the translation, only the translation of the verse?
While Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram thus played according to their own sweet will and sang to the point of apparent intoxication, a servant of Kuvera named Sangachuda came upon the scene.
Yes. So Sanatana Goswami says, at this time the demon came in front of them. The demon had on his head a huge jewel shaped like a conch. Well, therefore is called Sanka. Thus he was famous by that name. He appeared before them with that form. Where did he get the jewel from? It was given by Kuvera because of his service. He was by species a member of the Yaksas. Dananda means appropriately, giver of wealth. Or he stole the jewel when he was engaged in guarding wealth. As a Kuyaka, he was a servant of Kuvera. So there Sankachuda appears. Can someone read text 26 and purport?
O king, even as the looked down. Sankachuda praised began driving the woman off towards the north. The women who had accepted Krishna and Balaram as their lords began to cry out to them.
Yeah, your voice is...
According to Shleshna Chakravarti, the demon Sankasura shook a large stick at the beautiful young girls, thus frightening them and driving them towards the north. It did not actually touch them, as is corroborated by the following verse.
Thank you, but your voice was breaking up. The internet at your site is an issue, so I will read it again, therefore. O king, even as the two lords looked on, Sankachuta brazenly began driving the women off toward the north. The women who had accepted Krishna and Balaram as their lords began to cry out to them. Purport: according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the demon Sankachuta shook a large stick at the beautiful young girls, thus frightening them and driving them toward the north. He did not actually touch them, as is corroborated by the following verse. Jiva Goswami says, because of his attack, Krishna and Balaram looked on with disrespect. The demon acted in this way because he was fearless, asankita. He took them north, since this was where the Goyakas, the Yaksas, lived. That Sanatana Goswami. So they called out to Krishna and Balaram loudly with painful voices. The demon took them away by force and by many methods far away to the north, where the Goyakas had their homes. First he would take them to his house, or they were playing east of Govardhan. The demon took them to Kamsa at Mathura in the north. So it's related to Kamsa. So someone can read text 27, please.
Hearing the devotees crying out, Krishna, Rama, and seeing that they were just like cows being stolen by a thief, Krishna and Balram began to run after the demon.
After the demon, yes. Jiva Goswami. They were eternal associates, Svaparigram, and thus it was necessary to protect them. Because of this, it should be understood that Krishna and Balaram were most disturbed. The two brothers were of one mind because of mutual affection. The many gopis under the protection of the two brothers were taken by one person at once, while they became disturbed. An example is used to illustrate this. They were like cows forcibly driven away by a thief for himself. The gopis also ran like the cows, but they were not touched by Sankachuta. Sanatana Goswami. The gopis were like cows taken by the thief by tiger. As best of the cowards, they could run fast. They ran after the demon. It is also suggested that they ran fast, since otherwise some disaster would occur. So, okay. Yeah, next to read text 28 translation.
The lords called out in reply, Do not fear. Then they picked up logs of the shala tree and quickly persuaded that lowest of Guyakas, who swiftly ran away.
Yeah. the Goyakas swiftly ran away. Shiva Goswami, they pursued the demon on great speed immediately. Or they pursued and came close to the demon who was moving quickly. Sanatan Goswami, replying, in order to make the gopis fearless, they said, "Do not fear." They caught up with person who had taken the women. They grabbed salad trees because they were strong boys or because Krishna was eager to take the jewel. The demon was the lowest of the Goyakas, since he had previously performed such low acts. Good. So Krishna and Balaram grabbed salad trees. And Krishna was wanted to take the jewel. Interesting. Next to it, 29.
When Sankachuda saw the two of them coming toward him like the personified forces of time and death, he was filled with anxiety. Confused, he abandoned the woman and fled for his life.
So he abandoned the women and fled for his life. That because Krishna and Balaram appeared. And he saw them as the personified forces of time and death. It's like, yeah. Also the Kamsas at the arena of wrestling arena, that he saw them, Krishna and Balarama. He saw Krishna as personified death. That's yeah. So when Sankat, can someone read 29? You read already? When Sankachuda saw the two coming toward him like the personified forces of time and death, he was filled with anxiety. Confused, he abandoned the women, fled for his life. Shiva Goswami, Krishna was like the dispatcher of time, and Balaram was the dispatcher of death. The fool, bewildered, though fleeing, found it impossible to save himself, and thus thought of suicide, or he was bewildered what to do. Sanatana Goswami. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:43-17, it is explained that the wrestlers of Kamsa saw Krishna as a thunderbolt, and Kamsa saw him as death. So he simply fled without fighting. This was because he was a fool, since he provoked his own death and did not see that running away would only produce his death. He was a fool because he did not know at all proper conduct. So, can someone read the text 30 and purport?
Lord Govinda chased the demon wherever he ran, eager to take his crest jewel. Meanwhile, Lord Balaram stayed with the women to protect them. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the women were fatigued from being driven away, and thus Lord Balaram protected them and consoled them as they rested. Meanwhile, Lord Krishna went after the demon. Thank you.
So Vishwanath Chakravarti, like time, the inspired, and death, the inspired. Balaram, the inspired, said, kill him quickly. And Krishna, the inspired, said, yes, I will kill him. Shiva Goswami. Why did they not throw the salad trees at him from far away and kill him? Oh, Krishna wanted to take the jewel. If he killed the demon, he could not touch the dead body. He desired to take the jewel while the demon was alive. He wanted to give the jewel to Balaram. This was his intention. Or he wanted to take the jewel because the demon would stay alive as long as the jewel was with him. So that there are two perspectives. Krishna wanted to take the jewel while he was alive, otherwise that's inauspicious. And at the same time, that as long as the demon would have the jewel, he would stay alive. Interesting. Text 31. Someone read the translation.
The mighty lord overtook Shankachur from a great distance as if from nearby, my dear king, and then with his fist the lord removed the wicked demon's head together with his crest jewel.
Yes. There it happens that he removed the wicked demon's head together with the jewel at the same time. And so, Balaram stayed with the gopis, starved from ramening, comforting and protecting them. That Shiva Goswami, he did it without effort since he was the Lord. Sanatana Goswami, though far away, Krishna appeared near and faced him. It was improper to kill a fleeing person from behind. He was weak because he had taken the women. He removed the head along with the jewel with one fist only. He did not take effort since he was the Lord, Vibhu. Anga is an address expressing joy. So whatever Krishna does, dancing with the gopis, killing demons, is always joyful. 32. Can someone read the translation in the purport?
Having thus killed the demon Shankachur and taken away his shining jewel, Lord Krishna gave it to his elder brother with great satisfaction as the gopis watched. Purport. Various gopis perhaps thought that Govinda would give one of them the valuable jewel. To prevent rivalry amongst them, Shri Krishna happily gave the jewel to his older brother Balaram.
Hare Krishna. Vishwanath. Though he appeared far away, suddenly Krishna appeared close to Sankachuda and with his fist decapitated the demon. In order to prevent each gopi from thinking that she alone should be given the jewel and prevent the rise of envy, Krishna gave the jewel to Balaram. However, later Balaram gave the jewel to Radha. Interesting. He killed him completely. This means Krishna destroyed his subtle body as well as his gross body. So that means liberation. If you get rid of your subtle body, you have liberation. Then you don't take birth again. That's quite a mercy. He killed him completely. Nihatya. He took the demon's wealth, his jewel. The jewel had a natural brilliance. He took the jewel to give to one of his beloved privately. To give to one of his beloveds privately. He knew that it was impossible to keep it hidden. Therefore, he gave it to his older brother. So, he desired to give the jewel to Radha. If I give it to her, others will hate me. I have given it to him. So he is omniscient, he will give it to her, thinking of pleasing me. Then there is no way of anyone being angry. Thus he gave the jewel with affection to Balaram, because Balaram knows how to please Krishna, and he knows Krishna's desire. Since Krishna's other activities during this time would cause embarrassment to all, they were not discussed in Vraj at this time. Nanda, Yasoda and others were not told. Of course, their meetings with the gopis is secret. So we are at the end of this pastime of killing of Sankachuta. that it's a beautiful example of how Krishna protects his devotees, that how Krishna and Balaram cooperate. The inspired and the inspire, and the inspire, that they cooperate, that Krishna giving the jewel to Balaram, Balaram to Radha, they cooperate. That it's very beautiful. That and yes, now we are with the gopis. Gopis sing of Krishna as he wanders in the forest. This is a very special chapter. In this chapter, we will.
I have one question from the last chapter.
Oh, yeah. Please ask your question.
In the question bank, question number 4 of this chapter, it says that what is according to text 15 the cure against pride. But in the 15 translation,
say that again. The cure is fight. What does it mean?
What is according to text 15 the cure against pride?
The cure against what?
Pride.
Right. Okay. Right.
This is to be feared in this world. And in the text 15, there is no mention of pride, So, what to write in the answer?
Text 15. Text 15. That Malaikanta says actually it's in text 17.
In my opinion, the answer is
Okay. We are going to text 17.
Mm-hmm.
O infallible one, I was immediately freed from the Brahman's punishment simply by seeing you. Anyone who chants your name purifies all who hears his chanting, as well as himself. How much more beneficial is the touch of your lotus feet. So the chanting of the holy name in the purport, Jiva Goswami says, simply by uttering your name even once without any faith, without fully chanting, it purifies all people immediately. There is no qualification, it purifies all, and there is no consideration of time, since it acts immediately. So it says here that the chanting of the holy name is the same as being touched by Krishna's lotus feet and purifies one also from pride. And then you said text 15. 15. You destroy all fear for those who are fearing this material world, taking shelter of Vishnu. By the touch of your lotus feet, I am now freed from the curse of the sages, the destroyer of distress. Please return. Let me return to my planet. Yeah. Being touched by your feet, I have attained the highest bhakti. So the question was the cure of being freed from pride. Is that correct? Yeah. That chanting the holy name helps. Being touched by the feet of Krishna, he attained the highest bhakti. So it seems, according to text 17 and 15, that it seems to be being touched by Krishna's foot and being touched by Krishna's foot is the same as being touched by hearing the holy name. And that's the cure, chanting the holy name, remembering Krishna.
Okay.
So that's what I can make from it. I did not make this question, and I don't know about even these questions, but if that's helpful, I hope so.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Maharaj. Yeah. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah,
Even I wanted to ask a question.
yeah,
May I?
yeah.
Yeah. So just reading that, the jewel was given by Krishna to Balaram because he did not want the gopis to feel bad that it should not be given to one. So, isn't it a kind of a material feeling? So, how to understand that? How come this is there in the gopis, whereas we hear about this thing? Because this comes in otherwise also, because we hear about Srimati Radharani, that she always recommends to Krishna that this devotee is even better than me, so you please accept him. We hear this generally. But when we hear the pastimes in that, we also hear that she like we were reading in this 10th canto also, and like about Chandravali and all that. So how to just make a balance of all these different things, different feelings. So could you please help me?
Yeah, there is a difference between material envy and transcendental envy. Transcendental envy is recommended. But we cannot understand really this transcendental envy in our conditioned state. Envy on the conditioned state means I feel sorry, this person has that for an enjoyment and I don't have it, so I feel sorry for it, I want it. That's envy on a material platform. The spiritual platform, there is competition. So one feels envy because this devotee is serving Krishna better than me, and I want also to serve Krishna better. That is transcendental envy. But in that envy, that one feels happiness for that devotee who is serving better. But one feels sorry that I'm not on that standard. I should improve that, and therefore there's a bad feeling. That, but it has nothing to do with envy because of lack of enjoyment or frustration. That it's a transcendental competition. It is an ecstatic feeling that they are not it's not going to together with the suffering caused by envy in this material world. Yes, Sundari Gopi, I hope you can explain it better than me.
No, I can't explain better than you. I liked your points. I just wanted to, this is what something that Radhanath Maharaj had told about some other topic. But something, the principle is this, that he said that, what are they going to do with that jewel? Even if they desire, that I want it, but at the end of the day, they would want to please wear it or please it, show Krishna that, everything is for the enjoyment of Krishna. So even if they want it, at the end of the day, the desire is not to, I want to look beautiful, I want to show off or anything. It is just to make Krishna smile, just to make him happy. Or, they maybe want to give it to Radharani, or they will give it to Krishna only. So, this is something, I was relating to what I had heard from a class. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, suppose Krishna would give it to one gopi. The other gopis would be envious to have it. Why? Because they want to give it to Radha. Because Radha is most pleasing Krishna. If she wears the jewel, then Radha will please Krishna. So that's the mood in the spiritual world, that they want to please Krishna. And who please the most Krishna is Radha. So factually it will come to Radha. Anyway, that because, yeah. But Krishna gave it to Balaram, and Balaram gave it privately to Radha. That good. So we will go to the next chapter and stop speaking about things I cannot explain, because you need to be on a Transalta platform to really understand these topics. But theoretically we can try. And now in this chapter, Krishna will play his flute, and we see how the gopis react to it, how the cows react to it, how the Yamuna react to it, how the birds react to it. It's a very beautiful pastime. But we will I highlighted a few words here, but I can read the summary. It's not long. So this chapter contains the songs the gopis sing to express their feelings of separation from Krishna when he does go to the forest during the day. As the gopis' mood of separation from Krishna becomes even more intense, his names, form, qualities and pastimes begin spontaneously manifesting in their hearts. Thus they join together and sing as follows. The beauty of Krishna attracts the minds of all, and when he stands in his threefold bending way and plays upon his flute, the Siddha's wives, flying in the sky with their husbands, become attached to him and forget external reality. The bulls, cows and other animals in the pasture become stunned in ecstasy, and they stand so still, with the grass unchewed between their teeth, that they appear like figures in a drawing. Indeed, even the unconscious rivers stop flowing. Just see, when Krishna dresses himself in forest array and calls the cows by the cows' names by blowing on his flute. Even the trees and the creepers become so ecstatic out of love that their limbs display eruptions and their sap pours down like a torrent of tears. The sound of Krishna's flute causes the cranes, swans and other birds in the lakes to close their eyes in deep meditation. The clouds in the sky to gently rumble, imitating the flute's vibration, and even such great authorities in the science of music as Indra, Shiva and Brahma to become astonished. And just as we gopis are anxious to offer everything we have to Krishna, so the wives of the black deer following about imitating us. When Krishna returning to Vraj, he constantly plays his flute while his young companions chant his glories, and Brahma and other chief demigods come to worship his lotus feet. Thus the gopis, feeling intense separation from Krishna, sing of his pastimes. Sisuka o vacha gopya Krishne vanam yate tam anutrutta setasa. Krishna lila prakayantyo ninyodukena vasaran. Can someone read the translation and the purport, please?
Sukadev Goswami said, whenever Krishna went to the forest, the minds of the gopis would run after him, and thus the young girls sadly spent their days singing of his pastimes. Purport. Although the gopis enjoy direct association with Krishna at night in the rasa dance, During the day, he went about his normal duties, tending his cows in the forest. At that time, the minds of the gopis would run after him, but the young girls had to stay back in the village and do their own duties. Thus, feeling the pain of separation, they would sing about Sri Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So I'm just looking here in Krishna book, there text 35. The gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not satisfied simply with the rasa dance at night. They wanted to enjoy his company during the daytime also. When I read this, I have a particular memory. In 2001, Prahlad Nanamach and myself were sent by the European RGB to Serbia to see how the devotees were doing after the war. There was a terrible war in ex-Yugoslavia, which ended in 1999. So it was right after the war, and we were sent to that area. And we had programs there in Belgrade, in hidden places, because we could not travel outside in public as devotees, because the Orthodox Serbian Church, they were very inimical towards any other religion, and they would attack us. But we were at an evening program, and Prahlad Nanamach was going to speak about Krishna book, and he asked the Serbian devotees if they had a Krishna book in English. And they said, no, we don't have. And then Prahlad Nanamach started to recite from memory this entire chapter, just from his memory. The gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not simply satisfied with the rasa dance at night. They wanted to associate with him and enjoy his company during the daytime also. So these are some remembrance. You must have a good memory and great attachment to Krishna to memorize the entire chapter. But he did that. So yes, whenever Krishna went to the forest, the mind of the gopis would run after him, and thus the young girls sadly spent their days singing of his pastime. They could not forget him. They could not, because that was also, when Krishna played the flute, all the gopis ran for the rasa dance. And then Krishna said, yeah, why did you come? You should be at home doing your duty as and take care of your babies and so on. Why did you come? It's very, very dangerous at night to all these dangerous animals in the forest. And some of the gopis replied, yes, you want us to go back to our household chores, but what can we do there? We have stolen our minds. How can we concentrate on our household chores? You have stolen our mind, Manohar. When we steal is the mind. And that was their, the gopis' feeling of separation. So this feeling, the pain of separation, they would sing about Krishna's transcendental pastime.
So Maharaj,
yes?
The Ras Leela would happen quite frequently, looks like. Nighttime.
I don't know, I was not there, but
Mhm.
but when it was full moon, it was a Sarat season, clear sky. That so yes, at certain times Krishna had a rasa dance, at least once a year. That so I don't know, but Krishna every night was with the gopis, but not always rasa dance. They had other pastimes also. That
Right.
you can read Krishna
And
Bhagavatamrita of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That's very beautiful. Astakalya Lila described of Krishna. Also these night pastimes are described there. But it is said that this is a literature for liberated souls. That not really for us. That yeah.
thank you.
Today is Vashant Panchami. I think today also the day of Vashanti Rasa dance. Yeah, there you have it. That as I said, I'm not qualified to participate in that. So I don't know these things. I try to understand that I'm not a body, but let's see, and try to understand something of love of Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the 35th chapter, the gopis, pining in separation from Krishna, spent their days relishing him through reciting 12 pair of verses. So we will hear these 12 pair of verses. The gopis spent their nights, as previously described, directly associating with Krishna, singing and dancing, conversing, kissing, absorbed in the conjugal rasa dance. So that has been described. In the daytime, they could only associate with Krishna by thinking of him. So when Krishna went to the forest to herd the cows, the gopis' mind followed after him quickly. Taman uduttam shetasham. So the following is from Parasara. Parasara Muni is the father of Vyasadeva, right? Parasara Muni wrote also the Priyat Parasari Holy Shastra of the Jyotish, maybe other things. Krishna sported with the gopis in such a way that during the day a moment felt like millions of years in his absence. Must be that also Lord Chaitanya had that feeling of separation. Describing their separation during the days in order to nourish their enjoyment during the nights, Sukadev shows they passed their time. Their minds went quickly with him, Anuruddha Cetasa, or their hearts melted on thinking of him. Because of absorption in him, they stopped household duties. All glories to the unprecedented greatness of the gopis, taking a particle of their support. I will explain their song. Yes. Sanatana Goswami. So the gopis were delighted in Krishna during the night with the rasa pastimes, would be overcome with great sorrow during the day. Parasara says, Krishna sported with the gopis in such a way that during the day a moment felt like millions of years in his absence. Because their hearts followed him, they could not do their household chores. They absorbed themselves in his pastimes since they were none different from him. They passed the remaining time in sorrow singing. Good, that's the introduction. The gopis, but not only the gopis, we will hear about him. So many other living entities moving, non-moving, will reciprocate with the playing of the flute. That text 2-3, can someone read the Gopis set and also the purport?
Hare Krishna. The gopi said, when Mukund vibrates the flute he has placed to his lips, stopping its holds with his tender fingers, he rests his left cheek on his left arm and makes his eyebrows dance. At that time, the demigoddess traveling in the sky with their husbands, the Siddhas, becomes amazed. As those ladies listen, they are embarrassed to find their minds yielding to the pursuit of lusty desires, and in their distress, they are unaware that the belts of their garments are loosening. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami states that this chapter consists of a collection of statements the gopis made at various times as they stood in small groups here and there in Vrindavan.
So the Gopis said, when Mukunda vibrates the flute he has placed to his lips, stopping its hold with his tender fingers. So Krishna has different flutes, different kinds of flutes. The long one, the short one, he rests his left cheek on his arm and makes his eyebrows dance. At that time, the demigoddesses traveling in the sky with their husbands, the Siddhas, become amazed. As those ladies listen, they are embarrassed to find their minds yielding to the pursuit of lusty desires, and in their distress they are unaware that the belts of their garments are loosening. Yeah, it's good to read it a few times. Demigoddesses are traveling in the sky. And one kind of demigods, the Siddhas, they have mystic powers. So also the ladies in this traveling in the sky, they were attracted to Krishna. So the demigods were affected. Jiva Goswami states that this chapter consists of a collection of statements to the gopis made at various times as they stood in small groups here and there in Vrindavan. A collection of statements of gopis. So you have 12 verses spoken. It are pairs, so the pairs probably are spoken by certain gopis. Vishwanath Chakravarti. When Krishna, herding his cows in Vrindavan, played his flute to announce his coming to the trees, creepers, birds, and beasts suffering in separation, the gopis, whose love increased on hearing that sound, spoke to their friends in 12 pair of verses. Again, 12 pair of verses. The flute was placed on the lower lip. What type of flute was it? It was equipped with 7 holes, which were covered by his fingers, which were softer than those of others because of not doing heavy labor, but somewhat harder than his other limbs. Interesting observation. The wives of the Siddhas flying in the sky, though accompanied by their husbands, on hearing the sound of the flute, became astonished. We have never heard such enchanting flute playing before. It was astonishing because it enchants us who are chaste women, And moreover, it enchants our husbands who have given up their identity as males and become female. That, yeah. Our husbands who have given up their identity as males and become female. So, interesting. That, Of course, all living entities are by nature female. That, to be enjoyed by Krishna. Then together with their husband, they offered themselves to the arrows of lust. Seeing the arrows of love for Krishna approaching quickly, the wife said, "O arrows of love for Krishna, pierce these hearts quickly which have been offered to you. Let us give our faithfulness to our husbands and let Krishna enjoy with us." The husband said, "As we have given up our male and devata identities, immediately make us into gopis and enjoy with us." So that was their desire. Whether they attained it, that's another point. What's this? If the devatas reach such a state, what can be said of humans? What can be said of gopis? What can be said of those who live with Krishna in the same village? And what can be said of those who attained his direct association? Who can live without him? Even while our husbands and children watch and scolding, let us enter the forest of Vrindavan and enjoy with our beloved. This is the implication at the end of each pair of verses. Shiva Goswami. It would be difficult for all the gopis to speak simultaneously in one gathering, since there were thousands of groups with individual realizations. Thus this chapter is a collection of statements of the gopis, describing daily general pastimes addressing various devotees such as Yasoda. Though the verses do not depend on relationship to other verses. So it would be difficult for all the gopis to speak simultaneously in one gathering. There were thousands of groups with individual realizations, you can imagine. We have all our unique relationship with Krishna and unique realizations. Thus this chapter is a collection of statements of the devoted gopis describing daily general pastimes, addressing various devotees such as Yasoda. For instance, Tava Sutta Sati in verse 14. Though the verses do not depend on relationship to other verses. So it all is a collection of all different realizations, these verses. The descriptions are grouped in pairs of verses, and each pair consists a description of a pastime, Krishna playing his flute, and then the persons who are nourished by this pastime. So we will hear of different individuals. We will hear about the clouds, how they reciprocate with Krishna's flutes, and the cows, the birds, the Yamuna, the rivers, we will hear all of them. So the descriptions are grouped in pairs. Yeah, it is so unfortunate that we cannot enter into his pastimes. From the time he leaves in the morning until he returns, the gopis sing about his pastimes in the forest, each according to their individual realizations. In this verse, after going out in the morning, he played his flute on the road. The women from heaven, desiring to see him after he has entered his house, remained in the sky at night. First saw him clearly because they were in their vehicles in the sky. He enacted beautiful pastimes while playing his flute with expression on his face. He has his left cheek resting on his left arms and looks upwards crookedly. They were strongly agitated with prema on thinking he was looking at them. This is described in 2 verses. So that it's women from heaven, devas. They are in vehicles. And they were strongly agitated with prema, thinking he was looking at them. Of course, that everyone thinks of the gopis when they danced with Krishna. They were thinking Krishna is only dancing with me, because Krishna can expand him. Because of Krishna's contact with the flute, at all times the lips became angry and thus changed to a pale color. That out of envy, the gopis say, those soft fingers should not thus touch the hard flute, but rather touch our soft limbs. So this is a quite of envy, which is about envy and giving out of love. So they were thinking that we should give enjoyment to Krishna, and therefore Krishna should reciprocate with us so that we can give him enjoyment. But yes, that is spiritual envy. It's very beautiful. That the usage indicates that the flute playing was the sole and inevitable cause of the heavenly women bewilderment. This applies to later verses also. The heavenly women were riding in the airplanes with devatas controlling the planes. Because of the astonishing scene, the women, along with their husbands, became astonished. Though they were with their great husbands, their hearts became desirous of Krishna. They were embarrassed, but in spite of that, they fainted because of their desire, and their garments became loose. Or after astonishment, when they became full of desire, they became ashamed because of their womanly nature. Then they offered their minds to Krishna by the strong force of desire. In that state they faint. They were ashamed not only because their desire were aroused, but because their clothing slackened in front of their husbands. If the wives of devatas become bewildered, what about us? Sanatana Goswami. Since there were many independent speakers, the verses represent different gopis speaking. Among the groups some are present in front of Yasoda. That's all further repetition of what we summarized before. Text 4-5. Next one to read, translation and purport, please.
O girls, this son of Nanda, who gives joy to the distressed, bears steady lightning on his chest, and has a smile like a jeweled necklace. Now please hear something wonderful. When he vibrates his flute, vrajas, bulls, deer, and cows, standing in groups at a distance, are all captivated by the sound, and they start chewing the food in their mouth and cock their ears. Stunned, they appear as if asleep, or like figures in a painting. Report. The word Stira Vidyut, steady lightning, refers to the goodness of fortune. goddess of fortune, who resides on the chest of the Supreme Lord. When the animals of Vrindavan hear the sound of the flute, they become stunned in ecstasy, and they just stop chewing their food and cannot swallow it. The gopis in separation from Krishna marvel at the extraordinary effect of Lord's flute playing. Sridhar Swami gives the following explanation of the compound word har has, which compares Lord Krishna's smile to a necklace. The word can mean he whose smile is brilliantly clear like a jeweled necklace, or he whose smile is reflected from his jeweled necklaces. Because while Krishna plays the flute, he bends his head down and smiles. The word can also mean he who smile like a jewel necklace casts its effulgence upon his chest, or he whose necklaces shine brilliantly just like a smile.
Thank you. Vishwanath Chakravarti. What to speak of the intelligent wives of the devatas, the inferior animals also became bewildered. One gopi spoke, "This is more astonishing than the most astonishing thing. O young women, abala, literally weak persons. O young women whose vow of chastity to husband has become stolen by Krishna. On his chest, like a cloud effulgence with a necklace, like a string of flying cranes, flushes the golden line of Lakshmi, like stationary lightning. O gopis, the hot sun of your vows of chastity has been covered by that cloud of Krishna's chest with its lightning and flying cranes. It makes you who are suffering become the object of ridicule for society, Narmada. When does he do this? When he blows his flute, Kuchita Vena. Just on hearing the flute, your belts become loose. When you attain the state of Unmad, you become the object of ridicule for all people. So Krishna not only enchants you women, but also the animals and other entities. But the bulls, cows and forest animals chew on the grass, and the sound of the flute enters their bodies through their ears. They cannot swallow the grass, but remain stunned. Listening to the flute, their hearts are stolen by the sound of the flute. Their senses are so bewildered that they appear, if sleeping. The chewed grass remained in their mouths, not falling to the ground. They attain the Sanshari bath called Yadya. Breathing becomes weak, and they remain standing still like painted pictures. Rather than being like statues, being like painted pictures give more astonishment. It was as if a remarkable artist had painted pictures on the canvas of the sky, thus given rise to Adbhuta Ras. That Shiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, it's more or less the same. It's so many commentaries. As you can read it if you want privately. Text 6, 7. But we will now have a pause that it's now 6:34. We will have pause till 6:45. But before we going into the pause,
Recording stopped.
I have a question for you. So originally we had planned a class on Sunday, but because I had something on Saturday, but now that has been cancelled, I can give the class tomorrow instead of Sunday. But I need to know what you prefer, do we have a class tomorrow, or do you want to have the class on Sunday? Any comments?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, and the others?
I am good with either, Maharaj, whatever is convenient to you.
Yeah.
Yes. Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Saturday.
Tomorrow is okay for me.
Okay, then we
Sunday
have,
I have programs.
so then we have it tomorrow. The majority wants tomorrow, so we'll have class tomorrow and not on Sunday. Good. So now we have a pause for 10 minutes until 6:45. Hare Krishna. So we continue that with reading text 6 to 7. With the next to read, translation and purport, please.
My dear Gopi, sometimes Mukunda imitates the appearance of a wrestler by decorating himself with leaves, peacock feathers, and colored minerals. Then, in the company of Balram and the cowherd boys, he plays his flute to call the cows. At that time, the rivers stop flowing, their water stunned by the ecstasy they feel as they eagerly wait for the wind to bring them the dust of his lotus feet. But like us, the rivers are not very pious, and thus
Recording in progress.
wait with their arms trembling out of love. Purport. The gopis state here that the sound of Krishna's flute causes even inanimate objects like rivers to become conscious and then stunned to ecstasy. Just as the gopis could not always be in Krishna's physical association, the rivers could not come to the Lord's lotus feet. Although they desired the Lord, their movement was checked by ecstasy, and their arms, their waves trembled with love of Godhead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have here Krishna plays his flute, and the rivers, they are moving, but they come stunned. They stop flowing the waters. They become like in a painting. That and they feel ecstasy because they feel the wind will bring the dust of his lotus feet. That So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a long purport here. Shiva Goswami is also purport and Sanatan Goswami, but we will not read them. The gist is in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. So what to speak of the living creatures? Even the unconscious entities become stunned on hearing the flute. So that's the effect of the flute, that the even unconscious living entities become stunned. When Gopi spoke, when Mukunda decorated with peacock feathers and flowers imitating the appearance of wrestlers, or mocking them with his own brilliance, along with Balaram and the cowherd boys, calls the cows by name, O Kalindi, Gange, Sarasvati, all the rivers such as Yamuna and Sarasvati and other rivers, thou unconscious, take on consciousness, and began to think, oh, what good fortune we have! Krishna is calling us in order to bathe in our waters. With strong currents we will break the banks and flow towards him. Thou desiring in this way, because of being stunned with bliss, with stoppage of natural movement, currents became immobile. Further, another meaning of Bhakna-gati is as follows. The river's progress in this life was stopped because they had not attained the happiness of contacting Krishna's body, or because they were the laughingstock of other rivers. A next life goal was destroyed because of transgressing the vows of chastity to their husbands. What misfortune for these rivers. So their husbands is the ocean probably. But they have a little good fortune. Desiring the dust from Krishna's lotus feet carried to them by favorable breezes, they attain it. But even though attaining it, they cannot be satisfied and desire more, like us gopis, who sometimes get Krishna's association and sometimes are deprived of it. The rivers do not have bad fortune, but only a little good fortune. Abhava Punya. The waves' arms of the river tremble because of prema. Our arms are also tremble with prema. Though the waters become solid because of being stunned, again they liquefy. Our vision is clouded by the water of tears, and thus we become motionless. And we also, because of being stopped by our mothers and fathers from meeting Krishna, have lost our goal in life. And because of the ridicule of others and the transgression of the rules of chastity, we have lost chances in future life also. That's how the gopis think. Like the rivers, we also desire the dust from his lotus feet. So solid things become liquid. Liquid things become solid. They stop moving. Good. Now we have text 8:11. So next one to read, please.
Krishna moves about the forest. It's 8:11, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Krishna moves about the forest in the company of his friends, who vividly chant the glories of his magnificent deeds. He thus appears just like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exhibiting his inexhaustible opulences. When the cows wander onto the mountainside and Krishna calls out to them with the sound of his flute, the trees and creepers in the forest respond by becoming so luxuriant with fruits and flowers that they seem to be manifesting Lord Vishnu within their hearts. As their branches bend low with the weight, the filaments on their trunks and the vines stand erect out of ecstasy of love of God. And both the trees and the creepers pour down a rain of sweet sap. Maddened by the divine honey-like aroma of the tulsi flowers on the garland Krishna wears, swarms of bees sing loudly for him, and that most beautiful of all persons thankfully acknowledges and acclaims their song by taking his flute to his lips and playing it. The charming flute song then steals away the minds of the cranes, swans, and other lake-dwelling birds. Indeed, they approach Krishna, close their eyes, and maintaining strict silence, worship him by fixing their consciousness upon him in deep meditation. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just wait before reading the purport, because there's a lot of here in the purport, in this verse, that first the cows, that the trees and the creepers, they all respond, that the branches bend low with the weight. Their trunks and vines stands erect in ecstasy. That the trees and creepers pour down a rain of sweet sap. That's all different reciprocations with Krishna's sound of his flute. That and the honey-like aroma of tulsi flowers on the garland of Krishna, the swarms of bees sing loudly for him. And Krishna, he thanks the bees and acclaims their song by taking his flute to his lips and playing it. Krishna follows the song of the bees. The charming flute steals away the minds of the cranes and the swans now. They approach Krishna, these cranes and the swans, and they close their eyes, maintaining strict silence. So it's amazing, all these reciprocations that can someone read purport, the entire purport? Yeah.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made several illuminating comments on these verses. He gives the analogy that just as when Hausula Vaishnava hear a Sankirtana party approaching, they become ecstatic and offer obeisances. So the trees and creepers in Vrindavan became ecstatic when they heard Krishna's flute and bowed low with their branches and vines. The word Darshaniya Tilaka in text 10 indicates not only that the Lord is the most excellent to see, but also that he decorated himself with attractive reddish tilak taken from the mineral-rich earth of Vrindavan forest. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also points out that the tulsi, although exalted in many ways, is not normally considered an especially fragrant plant. However, early in the morning, tulsi emits a transcendental fragrance that ordinary people cannot perceive, but that transcendental personalities fully appreciate. The bees who are privileged to swarm about a flower garland worn by the Supreme Personality of Godhead certainly appreciate this fragrance. And Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes from the Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, verse number 19, to the effect that the most fragrant plant in Vaikuntha also appreciates the special qualification of Tulsi Devi. The word Sadhita Venu in text 10, Sandhita Venu in text 10 indicates that the Lord Krishna placed his flute firmly upon his lips, and the melody emanating from that flute is certainly the most enchanting of sounds, as the Gopis describes in this chapter.
So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. As these rivers, the unconscious entities, are eternally perfect, being the form of devatas, it is natural that they should react in this way. But see how the immobile trees of low birth born due to previous karma relish the sound of the flute. In this way, another group of gopis spoke. When Krishna endowed with unchanging opulence, similar to Narayan, whose strength is described by the cowherd boys, wanders in the forest, being attracted by the souls there, all the creepers along with their husbands, the trees, having directly seen Vishnu, who usually appear in the mind, weep tears in the form of streams of honey. They are just like Riyasta Vaishnavas who, on hearing Sankirtan, offer their obeisance along with their wives, and that being endowed with flowers and fruit, the creepers have Staibhav, fruit, along with Sanchari Bhav, of joy, flowers. Their completely bent branches indicate the Anubhav of paying obeisances. As their heirs were standing on end in joy, they displayed the Sattvika Bhav of Romansha. Yeah, so these are nectar of devotion. You have all these feelings of ecstatic love for Krishna, that endowed with flowers and fruits, the creepers have Staibhav. They are always offering flowers and fruits. That never stops. And Sanchari Bhav, Sanchari Bhav offering the joy they experience. Sometimes they are offering flowers. So that's not a sty bath, but another ecstasy that sometimes appears. That their completely bent branches indicate anubhav, of paying obeisances. So they are paying obeisances. That and their hairs were standing on end. What are their hairs? That maybe their leaves and so on. They are standing up in joy. Sattvika bhav. Romancha Kampashrutarangabhaja. That's the Gur Vastakam. That second verse, the spiritual master relishes ecstasy, his hair stand on end. So that's Sattvika bhav. Interesting that ordinary people can sense a little of Tulsi's fragrance, but spiritually advanced persons can experience her fragrance as greater than that of the lotus, since the bees had qualification for the flower garlands on Krishna's neck. They also could sense more fragrance in Tulsi than even spiritually advanced persons. However, only Krishna's nostrils can smell the most sublime of fragrances. By the covering of Yoga Maya, these fragrances cannot be perceived elsewhere. The special nature of Tulsi is stated in the descriptions of Vaikuntha. So the transcendental fragrance which appears at Brahma Muhurta, Mangalarti time. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, kurabaka, utpal, champak, arya, punara, narakesha, bakul, lily, and parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi, for Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:59. When Krishna thought about what pitch he would play on his flute, the bees would buzz, so they give the tune. And Krishna would play his flute according to that pitch. Respecting the song, when he placed his flute on his lower lip, the water birds left the lakes approaching Krishna began to worship him. By seeing, hearing, and thinking of him, they closed their eyes, indicating that they were tasting the rasa, that the birds were tasting the rasa, like great sages meditating. So there are so many comments. Some repetition is there. We have heard the essence. Text 12:13. Who is the next to read?
O goddesses of Raja, when Krishna is enjoying himself with Balram on the mountain slopes, playfully wearing a flower garland on the top of his head, he engladens all with the resonant vibrations of his flute. Thus he delights the entire world. At that time, the nearby cloud, afraid of offending a great personality, thunders very gently in accompaniment. The cloud showers flowers onto his dear friend Krishna and shades him from the sun like an umbrella.
So even the clouds are participating in Krishna's playing the flute. According to the rhythm, they give thunders here and there, and for the ambience, they are showering flowers. They see Krishna as their dear friend. They are, even during the summertime when it's very hot, they are always protecting Krishna and giving up their own lives by giving him little rain to refresh him. Vishwanath Chakravarti, the gopis now describe the bliss of unconscious entities in the sky. The thundering of the clouds was favorable to the flute sound, not disturbing in any way. So it was all in harmony. The cloud was a friend of Krishna, being similar, dark in color and function, taking away the distress of the people of the world, because the clouds give shade and protects them against the sun. And so the cloud began to sprinkle fine rain like tiny flowers, and in order to give shelter from the heat of the sun, made an umbrella from its own shadow. So by doing that, he's giving up his own life. That by giving rain. There's so many commentaries. 15. Can someone read text 15?
I can read. O pious Mother Yashoda, your son, who is expert in all the arts of herding cows, has invented many new styles of flute playing. When he takes his flute to his bimba red lips and sends forth the tones of the harmonic scale in variegated melodies, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and other chief demigods become confused upon hearing the sound. Although they are the most learned authorities, they cannot ascertain the essence of that music, and thus they bow down their heads and hearts.
Purport.
The words Tavasutta Sati, your son, O chaste lady, clearly indicate that at this point Mother Yashoda is among the young gopis as they earnestly describe Lord Krishna's glories. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, among the demigods led by Shakra, Lord Indra, were Upendra, Agni, and Yamraj. And among those led by Sarva, Lord Shiva, were Katyani, Skanda, and Ganesh. And among those led by Parameshti, Lord Brahma, were the four Kumaras and Narada. Thus, the best collective intelligence in the universe could not definitively analyze the enchanting musical arrangements of the Supreme Lord.
So we will see even Brahma become bewildered, cannot follow the composition, although he is expert in music. Let's see. We will read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the afternoon, the gopis, thinking of how to get continuous sight of Krishna, went to Mother Yasoda's house. They mixed with the elders, young girls and children, and talked about Krishna's qualities and activities. Yasoda listened and then spoke in order to console Yasoda, who was feeling separation from her son, also appease their own minds. They began describing to her the power of the flute song. O Yasoda, when your son, who is skillful at herding cows, caring for them and milking them, holds the flute to his red lips and plays the various chatis, 18 chief ones, numbering in the thousands, which were self-taught. All the devatas, including Indra, with Upendra, Agni, and others, Shiva, along with Katyayana, Kartikeya, Ganesh, Brahma, along with the four Kumaras, Narada, and others, as well as composers of song, hear that song and tasting the sweetness of the song, bow down their shoulders and minds. But they cannot comprehend the raga and tala. They become completely bewildered by the sweetness of the song and lose their sense of judgment. If the devatas become bewildered, what can we say of ordinary mortals? Your son bewilders the whole universe. So yeah, that's a repetition more or less, Jiva Goswami and also Sanatana Goswami. So we are at the end of today's section. We will continue tomorrow with text 16, that we have heard in this chapter how different living entities, conscious and unconscious, reciprocate with Krishna's fruit. And that it is good that you write each kind of living entity on, that you keep a journal for this chapter. At one side, the living entities, conscious and unconscious, and then list how they react to Krishna's playing the flute. That I remember that because it's logical. This chapter is all only about this. And at your exam, you get one question for each chapter. So what could be the question? Is simple. That you have to remember most of this, how unconscious and conscious living entities, how they react to Krishna's playing the flute. Any comments or comments? Any comments on this chapter so far, or the previous chapter?
It is nice, Maharaj, to see, even to learn that even the river stops to hear, stand by Krishna's flute, and wait for a breeze to blow some dust from Krishna's lotus feet onto the river. So amazing. And clouds. I mean, whole nature is engaged, not just living entities, not like deer and peas and trees, but even we see, non-living items like that we know of.
Yeah, they are all Krishna's energies, and we learn that the earth has a deity, Mother Earth. That so they are also living entities. That and Krishna in Bhagavad Gita said, Sarvagata, living entities are everywhere. That yes, that and all these living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. It's beautiful. When Krishna plays the flute, everything becomes in harmony. They reciprocate in so many ways, and out of love, because that's the effect of hearing the flute or the holy name. It purifies you, will bring you to this love for Krishna. That Vrindavan, when Krishna was here, was so wonderful. So thank you.
You very much, Maharaj.
Then we meet tomorrow at the normal time, and we will finish this chapter. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Yep.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Recording stopped.